Hello, Vermonters. I want to talk about voter fraud in Vermont. Now, this seems to be a verboten subject. The progressives get absolutely histrionically furious if anyone even suggests that there could be voter fraud, though if you look in the history, they challenged voter fraud in the Trump election, and many times they've been the ones calling voter fraud. And if you haven't seen the movie 2000 Mules, it's a documentary. It seems to me as an attorney to have a little bit of actual evidence in it suggesting there may have been some voter fraud. But I find it interesting that in Vermont, it's totally dismissed there could be voter fraud, but we have voter fraud in a Representative Carolyn Partridge, as I reported last November, in a school board meeting. Now, it may just seem to be just a school board, but it's still fraud by a legislator who is on the school board, who convinced other people to vote in her district who had reservations about it because they didn't live there. And she had told them, oh no, it's fine. People do it all the time. Those other people would say you don't live there. But if you might move back sometime in your dilapidated house, even though you've said you're going to move away and going to sell the property, hey, other people do it. So there's a lawsuit that Carolyn Partridge and her lawyers have tried to dismiss. First, the school superintendent and others refused to provide, because it was through the school system, they refused to provide answers or emails to the records requests by these plaintiffs. Then the Vermont League of Cities and Towns get involved in that, said, well, we don't have anything to do with that. The town attorney has represented Carolyn Partridge and the town against the voters, against the people who have proven with the emails that this happened, because Carolyn Partridge has never expected to be held accountable for voter fraud, for suborning someone to come be dishonest. Now, meanwhile, the Democrats in Vermont have called for a bunch of people in the Republican Party to resign because they question voter fraud. Let's look at Vermont. Let's look what happened here. I asked you to look at my articles because they have copies of the emails. They have quotes right from the lawsuit. But here's something else you never heard about, that these people also filed a complaint about Carolyn Partridge with Vermont's House Ethics Panel, who dismissed it. They said the House Ethics Panel considered your complaint against Representative Carolyn Partridge in accordance with the House Ethics Panel procedure for handling ethics complaints. After considering the circumstances related to your complaint, the panel is closing your complaint. Vermonters, look at what happened here and how they've covered it up. If we didn't have a court of law and these wonderful plaintiffs to bring her to accountability, we would still never even know this happened. And we would be gaslit and poo-pooed and condemned for even questioning the integrity of our voting process here at a school board meeting. This is perfidious. This is a betrayal of voters. This is a betrayal of other Vermonters. The right to vote in America is an important thing. Whether it's a school board or anything else, or a school vote, this is an important thing, a school vote, after our Act 46 battles, after local schools have been closed. And if there's no integrity in the voting there, do we think there's voting after what's just happened in the primary? Do we think there's voting, that we have trust in voting there? As Jim Condos correctly said, it's more important that people trust the voting system than it actually be reliable. Well, now we seem to have both problems. It doesn't seem to be reliable. The entire system here was stacked against the citizens of Windham in this school district. And our House Ethics Committee covered up, for partisan reasons I'm willing to bet, Carolyn Partridge's blatant dishonesty in this matter. And so please read the articles and hold people accountable, because otherwise it's a moral hazard and you're actually inviting people to just totally ignore the laws because they never think they're going to be caught. Vermont isn't about that. Vermont is about integrity and being neighborly and civil and following the rules. And here we have a case very clearly where that didn't happen. So I'm really happy it's gone to court. That's why we have courts, the balance of power, the rule of law. They look at the facts, they apply the law. We'll see what they have to say. But Carolyn Partridge is spending a lot of town people's money, or maybe Vermont League of Cities and Towns money, so we all pay for it, to defend her for something that she should just come out and apologize for. Maybe that's what she should do. Have the character to say, this was wrong, I shouldn't have done it, forgive me. But instead, the progressives are trying to sweep it under the carpet so you don't know about it. Because we wonder after this, how common is this kind of behavior? And how often is it that the ethics of our legislators is being protected by a self-regulating, self-policing ethics House committee that maybe isn't doing its job either. Thank you very much for listening.